All right, spring practice is basically upon us. It starts on Wednesday, March the 4th. Uh, so there's a lot to talk about right now, obviously. Some big news that's happened in the course of the last week. Uh, Carolina has had some good news, some bad news, and a little in between. We're going to dive into all of it right now. Want to talk, I guess the first thing we need to delve into. I'm here with James Lee from 843 as just about always. But I want to delve into this Jacarius Peak situation here. And I might need to rant a little bit because obviously Jacarius Peak got hurt. He got hurt playing basketball. It was apparently a team organized game and a lower body injury from what we're hearing. It's probably a knee. It's not an ACL. Shane Beamer has said he will be out for the spring. He will be out for the summer, but it looks like he will be able to go in 2026. Whether or not that's accurate, we don't know yet. One thing that's interesting is that the word surgery has not been mentioned yet, so we
Mhm.
don't know if that's on the table. I imagine to if you were to ask me, I would say yeah, it probably is. But one thing that I think has rubbed me the wrong way is the fan reaction to this. A lot of people have been saying that Shane Beamer needs to be held accountable for this. How can you have your players out there playing basketball with each other? I'm sorry, but what do you want them to do? As Shane Beamer put it the other day in his press conference, do you really want this guy to be wrapped up in a bubble and not used for anything but football? Yeah, these guys do have NIL contracts now, and they do have certain obligations to reach, but that doesn't mean that they cannot do things like play basketball, like go hunting, fishing, uh, what ride four wheelers, ride dirt bikes, whatever they may like, because uh, these guys are still somewhere in the range of 18 to 24 years old. And when you're 18 or 24 years old, you want to be active. You want to be out with your buddies. And by the way, it was a team activity. Guess what? That's a great way to build chemistry with your team. And this idea that we can't do that or that the players can't do that is ridiculous. And I really think that the people that are trying to pile on Shane Beamer are, yes, we're all upset about how last year went. No one is going to tell you that last year was a good year. But that does not mean that we have to go on these witch hunts because a player gets hurt. Unfortunately, it happens. And yes, it happened to a very high profile player, probably the highest rated offensive lineman in the portal this past portal season. It happens. And the ridiculous reaction from the fans needs to be toned down because this has got to happen. You've got to have team activities. And if that means they go out and play basketball, so be it. Steve Spurrier always encouraged his players to play basketball. Guess what? Basketball games that are held by football teams in like 3-on-3 tournaments, that happens at just about every school in the offseason across the country. And something that it also does? It keeps the players in shape. So, why the reaction has been the way it is beyond me. I think it's got a lot more to do with how last season went than anything, and that just heightens the ridiculous level up to me a lot more than it really should be. Um, James, I'm sorry, I've taken probably way too much on that tirade. If you want to chime in on that, you are more than welcome to.
I heard him say on the press conference that the last 3 years we've actually done it, and I don't remember any injuries the last 2 years. Um, it kind of like you hit on, and I don't feel really strongly about it one way or another. I'm kind of like about it. I mean, I feel like if he wants to do that to build chemistry with the team, sure, that's his discretion. Um, I think it's a little bit tougher to do that with the NIL situation. So, and you might see some of them say like, "Nah, coach, I'm good. I'm gonna pass," and that could come into play. And I think that could be kind of a thing where it's up to the player discretion. Do you want to play? Hey, you just know you're risking injury. But we could get into all these hypotheticals. He could get in. Our defensive line coach last year nearly got killed in a car accident, just driving from those of you that know USC, uh, Williams Bryce is not on campus and it's not remotely close. It's like 2 miles.
Yeah.
So and
And there's
Rosewood,
no sidewalk to get there either. So
right? You can't
you
walk,
cannot walk from
can't ride a
campus.
bike.
You can't walk safely from campus. You can do it, but it's not a very you're taking your life into your own hands if you do that. That's neither here nor there. But like you said, Travian Robertson nearly got killed in a car wreck out in Chapin last year at like what 5 o'clock in the morning
And was that
because
Shane Beamer's fault or the drunk lady that hit him? Wasn't she drunk or something
I
like
don't
that?
think she was drunk. I think she was just coming off of a work shift or going on into work or something like that.
Actually, that can be worse, driving
Yeah,
super delirious like that. And
absolutely.
hopefully her family doesn't sue me for that or whatever. But I said I think, just for
Yeah,
real.
understandable. I mean,
Yeah.
it's easy to forget about these things as
Mhm.
time will tell. And you know something though, if Jacarius Peak is able to go week one, no one will mention this ever again.
And
So
what if he plays well? Is anybody going to remember? Is anybody
exactly.
gonna care?
And I go back to what I said earlier. The only thing that really rubs me the wrong way about this whole thing from the football perspective, from that side of things, the only thing is that they've talked about how he's going to miss spring practice, he's going to miss summer conditioning. But the word surgery has not been mentioned once. And it wasn't even mentioned by the media yet. And I'm not saying that it's their responsibility to ask that question, but I think how is it that me, just this local yokel with a podcast, why am I the only one thinking surgery or at least wanting to ask Shane Beamer about surgery? Uh, is surgery going to be uh, a part of this equation, or is it something that he's going to have to basically ice down from now until the start of the season? I would imagine surgery is going to be a factor here because they've already set a time frame of you're not going to participate in spring or summer. And I seriously don't think it's just to protect him from getting hurt again.
Get the memo to David. He always gets the first question.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be more than thrilled to answer me about that one.
He might
Um,
catch a little ire from Shane Beamer on that, but
yeah.
it might throw
Well,
some
I think I
airways
might catch David's ire
asking.
if I ask him
Yeah,
that.
just for asking him.
Yeah.
But yeah, you kind of I think you hit on we both hit on a lot there. I mean, there's a lot of variables at play. Injury could happen. I think when Marshawn Lloyd comes to mind when he had his ACL injury, it was a non-contact injury, I believe, during the practice. So
I actually thought
um,
about that this morning on my way to
yeah,
Walmart. I was thinking, Marshawn Lloyd got hurt in a non-contact move. He
yeah,
basically was taking a pitch, and
uh-huh,
you got to remember, I don't think they were wearing pads at that point. They were wearing helmets, but I know they weren't wearing pads at that point, so they weren't going full contact. But he basically makes a cut and he's done for the year with an
yep,
ACL tear. So,
yep,
yes, these things can happen. They can, or think about Dion LaCorn, who got hurt at the end of on the very last play of, I believe, the 2010 spring game. I
yeah,
believe it was 10. It was either, or no, it may have been '09. I can't remember what year, but it was the very last play. And he was looking good throughout the spring game, albeit it's the spring game at the same time. But, he had a very good freshman year. He gets hurt on the very last play of the spring game, and he's never the same again, which is a true shame because he did contribute very much in that 2007 season,
mhm.
especially when guys were going down left and right and other guys weren't stepping up that season.
He had to play linebacker at one point because we didn't
Yeah,
have anybody to play. He was a receiver.
I think it was after the linebacker experiment. But nevertheless, the point is, injuries can happen anywhere and at any time and to anyone. It's unfortunate that it happened to Jacarius Peak, and it's unfortunate that it happened in a non-football injury, but injuries are never good wherever they are. I guess the only saving grace here is that they said it's not a season-ending injury, which, okay, that's great. I just hope that he's going to be able to stay in shape, maintain weight, and maintain skill, which I would imagine a guy at that point in his football life, he should be fine as far as all of that
Mhm.
goes because this guy's played a lot of football. So I'm
Lot of
not too worried about that point. I just hope he's going to be conditioned well enough to be able to come back.
you got a 5-star insurance policy that came back too that a lot of people are not talking about, and this guy is not being coached by Teasley anymore.
Thank the
You
Lord.
you got Josiah Thompson coming back, which I can't understate the importance of. Your feelings of him aside, the guy was a 5-star recruit. He's got all the potential in the world. I'm not trying to put a spin cycle on this, but I'm just saying, best case scenario, he can be your right tackle if Peak plays, and if Peak has to miss, say the first 2 or 3 games, and Thompson's ready to go, you can start Thompson at left tackle and put another versatile player out there on right tackle to get us through the first 2 or 3 games we have to. I mean, the sky's not falling, is what we're saying here, guys.
Yeah, and I think honestly, if you said between the two of them, which one needs spring practice in this system more than the other, it's definitely Josiah
Thompson.
Thompson. I really do look forward to seeing what he can do with Randy Clements coaching him as opposed to Lonnie Teasley. So uh, that could be. I'm not going to call it a blessing in disguise. But again, go back to Marshawn Lloyd. He got hurt. He was a 5-star coming in, and what
Hmm.
happened? Kevin Harris runs for over 1,000 yards in a
Yep.
10-game season.
Yep.
Not saying you're going to get that kind of production, but anything can happen, good or bad.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we've got a lot. We brought in a lot of players. Coach Clements brought in a lot of players. Coach Riles as well. And
A lot
here's
of
the thing.
experienced players too, mind you.
Here's the thing. Yeah, it's gonna suck that Peak is not get those live action reps in practice. But if he can inundate himself in the playbook, and he knows the system, like you said, John, he's got 3 or 4 years of playing experience at a high level, being a first team All ACC guy last year. This is a good football player. This isn't a guy that's got to go out there and learn how to block.
He doesn't really have that much to prove, honestly.
No,
So, uh,
surefire NFL guy if he plays this
yes,
year.
agreed, agreed. Um, I guess that kind of wraps up the tirade we just went on about Jakarius Peak. However, there was a hire recently because
Hmm.
special teams coordinator Joe DeCamillis was given an offer and took it to move on to the Las Vegas Raiders. So that
Yep.
left the special teams position open, or the special teams coordinator position open, and it was filled by relative unknown Matthew Smiley. And look, there aren't really that many coaches out there who coach special teams that you could hire that one way or the other are going to turn heads. The only
Hmm.
one I could really think of that would do it is Shane Beamer. So,
Yeah.
um, to me, and what I've seen as far as numbers go and the resume goes, this is a fine hire. It's not something you should get over the moon about. It's not something you should, um, you know, burn the neighborhood down for either. It's fine as long as the special teams group can maintain the level that Shane Beamer expects it to be. I think you'll be okay there. Certainly with Jody Camillus, there were some things to be desired. Just some plays that were not executed well. The trick plays you think about that were being executed properly under Pete Limbo, they just didn't seem to happen quite as often under Jody Camillus. Not saying
Mhm.
Jody's a bad coach. I also think that maybe the personnel wasn't the highest level it could be under Jody. Remember, Carolina really hasn't been right on special teams since you had the dynamic duo of both Kroger and Jeter handling kicking. When Jeter left, place kicking has now become kind of an adventure. You hope that this young man whose name escapes me at the moment right now, who they brought in from, I believe, Texas Tech, uh, you hope that that can bring some stability back to the place kicking duties. Punting has been fine for the last couple of years, so special teams should be okay. Matthew Smiley, I think, is going to do a decent job. I don't think Shane Beamer would have gone out and hired just any Joe Schmo to coach special teams because, again, as he said the other day in his press conference, that's his baby.
Mhm. Yeah, looking through Matthew Smiley's resume, so he started off in the college ranks, ended up making his way. I can't remember which NFL team hired him originally. It might have been the Seahawks or somebody, I don't know. But he was with an NFL team. He ended up becoming the assistant special teams coordinator for the Bills. When their special teams coordinator left, they simply promoted him. I think he did it for 3 years. And I know he was obviously pushed out of the job. And that doesn't necessarily preclude you from being qualified for another position, because things happen. And we've seen coordinators look at Bobby Slowick, for example, at the Houston Texans was OC. He was on many short lists to be a head coach. And D'Amico Ryans fires him before last year.
Right.
And so that is there's situations where sometimes they're the fall guy. Like special teams makes a couple blunders in the playoffs. like in their situation, and the axe has to come swinging on somebody before it comes swinging on you.
Yeah.
So, and then they ultimately did when it comes to when it came to the Bills. I mean, that that kind of thing happens, and Joe Brady lucked his way into being now the head coach. But with Smiley, I mean, he's done it at both levels. The fact that that I found out he worked for Pete Limbo at some point, I had to be a deciding factor saying, hey, I remember looking at this tape and I remember this drill we ran 15 years ago with Pete Limbo. And so I think there'll be a lot of carryover with the terminology. And I think it'll work out well. Like you said, John, I mean, nobody's ever hired a special teams coordinator and they've been like, oh my God, that's it. We're
It's not
winning
like
the
the Kendall
CFP.
Briles hire.
Right. We're not winning. Nobody's like, oh my God, we're winning the CFP now because we hired John Smith to be the special teams coordinator and he is absolutely going to turn the program around. This is not a hire that I look at to say this makes the program worse. And we both kind of hit on it. There were some deficiencies in special teams. I think we were 12th in the league last year. And for Shane Beamer coach team, and he would tell you this too. It's not anything I'm saying that he wouldn't tell you himself, and that's not up to standard for him, especially like you said, special teams is his baby. That's his bread and butter.
Yeah.
So believe me, he brought this guy in thinking this is the perfect fit for the job, and hopefully it translates to some success on the field. I like the fact of the combination of NFL and college experience. He's even been at Charleston Southern, so he gets the state. And I know obviously that's a smaller school, but he gets the layout of the state, and hopefully there'll be a lot of creativity, but not. And this goes for Beamer and Smiley both. Hopefully it's nothing too cute. I would love to see some creativity, but maybe let's not do as many fake punts. And I don't know, the 2 point conversions or depends on the situation. But
Right. If it's
I
like a great example, the first touchdown of the Beamer era, they ran a 2 point conversion play. It
yeah,
worked.
yeah,
You could do that against like Eastern Illinois
yeah.
or
South Carolina State when we did it
or
then,
Kent
that was a
State or
great play
Kennesaw
with
State, someone
something
like
right
that.
there.
Yeah, I can see that. Like yeah, like you said, South Carolina State. Yeah, that's fine. Or
Probably not doing that against, Florida.
probably not. Depends on the situation, though.
Right.
Maybe not the 2 point conversion play, but think about the Gator Bowl um, when they
The
ran the
fake
Kroger
punt.
special with
Yeah.
you know, I can't remember who. I guess it was
Was it Matt Rogers?
no, it
College
wasn't Rogers. It
freshman?
was Kroger. I'm trying to
No,
think.
but who he threw it to? I thought he threw it to Rogers.
Oh, it was Rogers he threw it to. I thought it was
Or was it Atkins?
I thought it was Atkins. I thought it was Nate Atkins.
By the way, there's a reason that dude is still playing in the
Yes,
NFL. He's a good player.
absolutely.
The best part of bringing in Coach Atkins was getting Nate Atkins. The nepotism was a great thing.
All right, that's neither here nor there. But again, looking back on it or looking at this, surface level, or if you want to take a deep dive into it, not a bad hire, not a hire that makes you, you know, jump out of the window screaming in excitement. Again, it's not the same. It's not going to be on the same level as the Kendall Briles hire because again, this is not a position that's going to make or break your program. It might make the difference in a game or two, but it's not going to
Mm,
make or break your program. Um, all right, so that covers that, and that
mm,
covers the football exclusive that we wanted to discuss today. But given the way things are going in the spring right now, and
mm,
given the way things have been for the last year, I kind of wanted to just take a deep dive here and just really discuss the job performance so far of Jeremiah Donati. I think a lot of people are kind of scratching their heads a little bit because
mm,
there has been no major movement right now amongst any of the major sports right now. Uh, I think when he got here, the first thing he did was he gave a new contract to Dawn Staley. It's fine. It's probably what you do as an AD when you come to a place like this and you've got someone as high profile as she is. But then you look at football, you look at men's basketball, and you look at baseball. We're not telling you any secrets and we're not going to sugarcoat things. Right now, the state of all three programs, given the way that their last seasons have gone, or maybe their current seasons are going,
mhm.
it's not good.
No.
But I think that I don't think Jeremiah Donati is being apathetic, and I don't think he's being passive. I think he took the approach. This is just my thought when he got here. He didn't take the approach of I'm going to come out guns ablazing, I'm going to make firings left and right, and I'm going to bring my guys in immediately. He's not Jerry Jonesing it up where you come in day one and you make as big of a splash move as you can. You fire the football coach, you fire, or in this case, the men's basketball coach or the baseball coach. You don't do that. Uh,
Yeah,
Maybe in some instances you should, but having taken a step back as a fan and then just saying, why was no move made last year in the spring, especially when both teams, both men's basketball and baseball, had less than stellar performances, which I think is putting it nicely.
yeah,
And
I
both
see.
programs, again, men's basketball is about to finish up. It's been, for lack of a better term, it's been another terrible season. Baseball is already up and running. They are 8-4 here on the last day of February. I believe that's the record anyway. It's either 8-4 or 7-4. I would need to go back and look. That is not up to the standard of the South Carolina baseball program. But I think the reason why Jeremiah Donati came in and said, I'm not going to fire anybody in basically my first semester here, I think he wanted to maybe take a more conservative approach, which can work because I think instead of saying, I'm going to come out guns a-blazing and fire everybody, I'm going to look at the coaches I've got, I'm going to talk to them, and I'm going to see if maybe there's something I can do for them before I have to make a coaching hire. And if nothing is different after next season, the 25-26 season, then I'll my hand will be forced and I'll make a coaching move. But I'm not doing it right here just so I can make an imprint.
The fire everybody crowd, like I get it. We've all been there before. I want you to feasibly think about how you could fire a football coach, a men's basketball coach, and a baseball coach all in the same season.
All at the same
I,
time.
I mean, two out of the three even in the same year. It would be, and I'm not saying that won't happen this year. Is it? I think there's a very high chance Lamont Paris is on borrowed time, and the game tomorrow, the baseball game tomorrow, I think will go a long way to determining Paul Maneri's future as well. I mean, if he gets that series win, the guys
In
can
the
get the
short
top.
term, it will anyway. I'm sorry to interrupt you there,
Yeah,
but
yeah, at least in the short term. I mean, obviously, I think SEC play will be the end all be all for him. If it's kind of a mediocre year where they show some progress, I think he might get another year. Um, but I think Jeremiah Donati is trying to be pragmatic in his approach. He's trying to look at all things because one, like I first mentioned off, and I know you guys hate hearing that, but the feasibility of firing all these coaches. I mean, we have these huge buyouts, and we got to get the money from somewhere. I'm not saying we can't afford the buyout, but what you also have to weigh into a fact of a buyout is you have to pay for the assistants buyouts. You have to hire a new head coach. You have to hire a new staff. So, oh, the buyout's 25 million. Well, no, the buyout's 25 million. Yeah, we can make payments, but then we've also got to get two new coordinators, maybe three new coordinators. You're talking about seven new position coaches for football. You're talking about two to three assistant coaches for basketball, potentially a new strength coach, all these support staff positions. I mean, this is
it's
not
not just
cheap.
one buyout that you have
Yeah,
to pay.
right. And then imagine doing that for two or three. And I'm not excusing it and saying money should be an issue. I'm just saying it is, and here's why. And I am a sport management student. We studied this. You can't just blindly pee in the wind and make decisions and not worry about who you just peed on. So it goes back with that. And also, too, I think you got to put some guardrails in there for success. I mean, look at,
No matter what you do, no matter what line of work you are in, and no matter what type of um, revenue you generate or revenue you might lose, you always have to be fiscally responsible.
yep.
Is this a wise decision, fiscally speaking, or is this being irresponsible? And I think Jeremiah Donati is a fiscally responsible
Hmm.
athletic director. And if you're not uh, a fiscally conscious athletic director at the very least, you don't belong in that position.
Yeah. And what I was going to say is I'll just start with men's basketball. And for example, for people that don't know, we practice at the volleyball facility. Like we don't have a standalone practice facility. And if you don't believe that, I mean, you can ask Dawn Staley that and she'll tell you. Hey, quite frankly, from her perspective, I'm surprised she hasn't been all up in the office complaining about that for years. Maybe she has, but she's been quiet about it. But we're behind the eight ball from no standalone practice facility. We're behind the eight ball. Really, Under Armour has been a hindrance to us with basketball. It's really great. We're going to Nike next year, especially for basketball. Um,
Absolutely.
that's a big hindrance. The lack of sustained success from the men's program. And I mean, yeah, you can look at Dawn Staley and say, yeah, if she came into a program that's never been successful and she's had a decade of unprecedented success, we want that for the men's program. We wish Lamont Paris could be that guy, but it doesn't appear to be trending in that direction currently. But he also has a lot working against him, as we both said. We're not going to ever be top of the pack NIL and SEC. So we've got to have a real tactician in there that can outcoach people. And I think Lamont's shown that at times. And uh, there's been other times where you can just tell we're really outmanned and there's only so much you can do coach wise. But there's a lot, I mean, there's a lot against the men's basketball program. And then geographically speaking, for football, it's Georgia, the team from the upstate.
I was going to touch a little bit more on men's basketball in that regardless of whatever decision is made here at the end of the season, whether or not Lamont Paris is brought back, whether or not Jeremiah Donati decides to say, okay, I tried to help you, and basically the results are the same as they were a year ago. Still, more is going to have to be done than just a new basketball coach because
Mhm.
you think about some of the things that were done last year. Okay, the NIL budget last year, I believe, was either doubled or more than doubled what it was from the previous season. But here's the problem with that. It's still at the bottom of the SEC. Jeremiah Donati is going to have to do men's basketball. I look at this and I'm going to compare it with baseball because both of those right now, both programs are kind of under the microscope right now. Baseball is kind of a weekend homework assignment. Men's basketball is that one course you take that is you meet twice. You meet at the start of the semester and you meet at the end of the semester, and everything in between is nothing but one big project that you have to do, and you have until the end of the semester to get it done. That's, I think, the difference between men's basketball and baseball right now. I think there's a lot to be done with men's basketball. Would it be wrong to either uh, replace Lamont Paris or bring him back? I don't know the answer to that.
Mhm.
I certainly think that more needs to be done budget wise, more needs to be done marketing wise. Uh, you look at what they do for the women's team, uh, it doesn't seem like they do quite as much for the men's, which I feel is unfair, especially considering of those two programs, men's basketball is the only one that generates revenue. Now, I think that's going to change after this season. I'm not sure exactly. Uh, I think ticket prices have a lot to do with that, and I don't know if they're going to raise them or not for women's basketball.
Yeah,
But
I'm sure they will.
nevertheless, I mean, it's not a that's not what I was trying to get at. The main thing I'm trying to get at is they've got to really do a lot more with men's basketball than they need to do with baseball. Baseball, NIL is good, facilities are still top notch. I think it's more, again, like that weekend project. There's really just one or two main things you need to do to correct that program. Men's basketball, there's so much more to it than just a coaching change.
Yeah, there's a lot of the issues run deep with our men's basketball program, and I haven't even gotten started, and I don't want to rant, but I'll just say our marketing for our men's basketball program has been putting it mildly atrocious.
Mhm.
Like we had our Legends Night, and nobody knew about it. And it's just little things like this that we've
Nobody
got
knew
to do.
about it, and it also occurred on a night um, during
Mid-weekend,
an
right?
ice storm. So yeah, it's just it's to quote Kent Brockman, there's only one word to say about this: idiocy. It just
It,
it just begs the question, what is going on with that?
Yeah, there's so many things that just a microcosm of our issues here. And sorry, my dog's.
You're good.
Let me let her out real quick.
Oh yeah, you're fine. Um, to kind of go back to what we were talking about with the whole marketing thing, um, I hate to say it like this, but it just feels like when it comes to men's basketball, and I'm comparing this with every other sport in the athletic department, not just, the team they share the building with. I'm talking about every sport in the athletic department. It feels like men's basketball is almost neglected. It seems to be treated
Hmm.
like a redheaded stepchild. And I don't know if
Absolutely.
it honestly feels like that was more of a Ray Tanner issue. And I'm sorry
Yes.
to bash on him because just about everybody else does, but it just felt like, his predecessor, Eric Hyman, he did as much as he could to make men's basketball relevant again. He tried with Darren Horn. It didn't work. He made a quick hire or he made a quick coaching change because he saw that it needed to. The budget for men's basketball at that point was better. He brings in Frank Martin, and what do you know? 4 years later, we're in the Final Four.
Yep.
But since then, men's basketball, and even during that time, it just feels like men's basketball has almost been an afterthought. Um,
Hmm.
but again, we don't know exactly what Jeremiah Donati's plan is for it. Uh, Again, he's only in his second full season for men's basketball. This is actually his first full academic year as Carolina's AD. So I'll be very interested to see what happens after this season for both men's basketball and baseball. Uh, as far as the job that he's doing, I would rate him. I would say it's pretty good because you look at what's going on with the Williams Bryce project. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but obviously they are renovating the stadium heavily. They are going to update the number of suites. They're going to update premium seating, which, I'm not happy entirely about all this because I'm one of the people that are going to be displaced because of this, but
Hmm.
I do understand why. I understand why it has to happen. Again, not happy about it because I like my seats, but at the same time, I get it. You think about what happened a couple of years ago. They brought in Manchester United. That was a big deal.
Yes.
You can bring in big time concerts. They had Jay-Z and Beyonce a couple of years ago. You can do more of that
Yep.
with a lot more suites. So I think this is a very good thing for the program. It's going to generate a lot of revenue, and I think it's going to help the football program in general. So for that, I would say he's doing well. And one other thing I would say he's done well. Again, I don't like bashing on Ray Tanner, but unlike Ray Tanner, Jeremiah Donati has not gone on record and said things that make you scratch your head, or he hasn't gone on record and said anything that kind of paints him into a corner like Ray Tanner has before. Not going to get into that because uh, I, I don't want to make myself mad here, but basically, Jeremiah Donati has played his cards close to the chest, and I think for a, an AD in his position, I think that's a good move to do.
Yeah, this is just one of those situations where I wish we had the right answer, and then I wish I could email him all the right answers, say, hey, we should do this, we should do that, but you never know. I mean, Lamont Paris could come back next year. It could be, I don't know, a great recruiting off season. He could land a star point guard and we could make it to the Sweet 16. He could come back and we could win 8 games total and not win a conference game. And
Yeah.
so you never know.
Or he could pull the trigger now.
Or he could pull the trigger now.
Yeah.
Baseball, like I said, that's to be determined. I'm holding out a little sliver of hope that the Pulmonary of 10 years ago could come back, but I also realize that's probably not going to happen. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think I don't like being negative, but unfortunately, I'm just going by what I see. And, what I see is not lying to me.
It's not good enough.
It's not good. This is not the standard that you expect for either men's basketball or baseball. I think at least one of those positions is going to change head coaches. Which one? I don't know. It may be both. But Obviously you'd love for him to go on runs. You'd love for Lamont Paris to turn it on in the SEC tournament, but again, given what I've seen, that is not
Mhm.
going to happen. And quite honestly, at Carolina, I don't know if you ever can win the SEC tournament because you've got uh, Texas, you've got Kentucky, you've got Florida, you've got Auburn, you've got Tennessee. It's not a conference where you can expect very often anyway to break in and make a run at the SEC tournament, especially given the talent level right now and the NIL level.
Yep.
And baseball, hey, I go back to the John Whittle article that came out at the end of last season, and it
Ooh,
just felt like I read that and I thought if half the things in that article are true,
he's done.
then you could fire him for cause. But neither here nor there. We'll do what Jeremiah Donati is doing. We will let the season play out. Again, getting back to football, again, spring practice starts up on Wednesday, March the 5th, this coming Wednesday. And hopefully we'll have a lot of good reports coming out of it. Looking forward to seeing and hearing about how Lenora Sellers, Nick Harbor, and the rest of them do in this the beginning of this Kendall Briles system. And yeah, even with the Jacarius Peak injury, it's still an exciting time, I think, and a very optimistic time for Carolina football, even after coming off of a 4-8 season.
Absolutely. The excitement is palpable with having an offensive coordinator that's really proven and runs a fun, unique style and a style we've really never seen in Columbia ever before. It's it's truly a special prep. I've always said this. You know I've said this. South Carolina has to be a special prep in football, and we are just that with Kendall Briles running it. And I would say the same thing for Clayton White. I don't think Clayton White. I think he runs a very unique scheme on the defense, does a great job of disguising blitzes, and his system seems to work as well. And we've got 4 years of evidence of that. We had one year where we probably didn't have the personnel, but I'd say we have 4 years of evidence his defense works, and excited to see what Coach Smiley can bring to the special teams as well.
Absolutely. So we'll have some reports coming up. If anything major breaking news happens, of course, we'll be on it and looking forward to it. So hopefully we will have a good run here. And my friend, always good. Looking forward to the next one, whenever that may be.
Yes, sir. Always a pleasure, John. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir.